I need to get a woman up here to talk, right? So let me tell you about Carmen. Carmen was the Executive VP of Human Resources at Zimmerman Advertising for 15 years. 1,000 people worked there. You didn't get hired, fired, or promoted without Carmen saying so. All right? She's now a consultant and she knows everything about how to build your brand, your personal brand. And she's going to tell you how to do that. So I want to introduce Carmen at this point.
Hi. I love when we come to these speeches and you get to hear from the owners and CEOs, and you're sitting here, you're in college, you're going through classes, and it just seems so far between, you know, that end and where you are today. So I hope I can bridge the gap a little bit to getting to that point, because not all of us are going to be business owners in our own right and entrepreneurs. Some of us are going to work for other people first, or maybe always. I actually have always worked for companies, and the reason why is I love the team. I like building a team, creating a team, making a team, and I like being a part of a team for a higher effort and result. So it's not a bad thing to not own your own business, but to go out and just work hard and find your passion and do what you love. And that's what I've had the pleasure of doing for my career. I was like you. I went to college. I went to community college. I worked full-time. I went to school full-time. I always was on my own, and I wanted more out of my life. And I really enjoyed human resources. I enjoyed seeing people advance in their career and get to that next step, and that's what brought me into the profession that I love today. And then I worked for a couple companies, and then eventually I worked, and I actually got my undergraduate degree in communication. I thought I wanted to be in advertising, and then I got into human resources, and I ended up being in advertising and human resources for Zimmerman for 15 years. And we built it from a small company that had 80 employees to over 1,000 and a multi-billion-dollar advertising agency here in South Florida. And one thing that I learned in doing, and it is true that you couldn't get hired and you couldn't get fired and you couldn't get promoted without kind of going through my department. And one thing I learned through all of that is every one of us is a brand. Everyone out there, you have a brand, and how you present yourself to your friends, to your employers, to your coworkers, to your supervisors represents the brand that you are. So I want you to just think as you go forward in your college and then in your career about what brand you want to be. And think about some brands that you know: Geico, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, any brands. What do they represent? When you think about them, you think something, they tell you something about themselves. So every person you meet and everything you do, you think about that brand and what your brand stands for. Give yourself a tagline like they have a tagline, okay? And everything that you do, including how you dress, whether you're on time, whether you follow up, everything you do, what you do in your personal life represents and indicates that the brand that is who you are. And one of the things that we really have to focus on in today's day and age is our online brand. So when I'm being in human resources and recruiting hundreds of thousands of people over 15 years, I can tell you that, yep, we look online. We look at your Facebook account, we look at your Twitter account, we look at your LinkedIn profile, and you would think, well, you can't get into my Facebook account. How can you do that? Well, we look and we see what friends you have. Are your pictures of you partying and holding up, you know, beers and all things like that? Or are they pictures of you in a charity event doing something to help the community? So don't think that your online profile is something that's private and yours. You want to present yourself as your brand, as your employer, and you want the public to see you as. So get rid of those pictures, take them down if you're looking for a job, and replace them with, or just put the ones up that you want to represent who you are, okay? On Twitter, what are you commenting on? What are you talking about? Do you have a blog? Do you have any white papers? Do you have an opinion? What are your opinions? And don't think that people aren't interested in knowing that and understanding that about you, because every person that comes into a company makes a difference. And it's really about the communication style that you have. So pay attention. clean it up and be appropriate to the persona that you want to in the outside world. One of the things that I highly recommend everybody to do is if you have a passion, or even if you don't know what your passion is right now, go ahead and do some white papers, make a blog, go online, go on your LinkedIn account, write something, talk about something in a positive way, and let people know that you can communicate and you can be a part of the conversation, okay? Then what's your brand offline? Think about when you go in and you apply for a position. Are you on time? Are you early? Are you nice to the receptionist? What are you dressed like? Usually the people that are interviewing you are making an instant judgment about you within 2 or 3 minutes about who you are and what you stand for. And don't think that if you're not rude to the receptionist, that doesn't get around. Believe me, they're taught to teach the HR people and tell the HR people what's going on. So everybody you come across, be professional, be upbeat, be positive, be helpful, and represent yourself in the way that you would want your employer to see you as. And then after you get the job, then you have to think about your commitment. And after you get the job, these are the things that, I got this actually out of my purse. And this I keep with me. It's the 4 agreements. And it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. He was a Mexican that was the youngest of 13 children. And he was going to be a doctor. He actually was a doctor. And then after spending years doing that, he grew up very poor, et cetera, he got in a car accident. And when he got in a car accident, it changed his world. And he started looking at things in a more of a spiritual light. And he ended up writing this book. This isn't the actual book. It's just a short version. And he wrote many, many books after this, but this is his most famous, and it's been replicated and, bestseller for something like 36 years. And this is what I live by in my world, in my profession, in my company, and it's what I suggest that you live by too. And that is, the first agreement is be impeccable to your word. And what Walt said is exactly right. How you talk, how you write, how you communicate, that represents who you are and how good you are and how much you're able to advance in the company. That is what every employer wants. We want people with presence. We want people with a dynamic personality. We want people that aren't afraid to stand up and have an opinion. We want people that aren't afraid to, kind of have that conversation and get to the higher level. So think about what you say and how you say it, and then once you say it, stay true to it. If you're going to say you're going to do something, make sure you do it. If you say you're going to be on time, make sure you're on time. And be careful about how you represent what you're going to say. Are you saying it positively or negatively? Every word that we say reflects who we are, so be impeccable to your word. The second is, don't take anything personally. And I have a very hard time with this one. This is the one that's challenging to me. And what this means, and when we talk about this, is it means that everybody's in their own journey in the world. And let's say you're going down the hallway and you're looking at the boss and you really, hi, how are you? And he doesn't answer, she doesn't answer you. And you're crushed. He must not like me, and I don't know what I did wrong, and oh my gosh, and you go and talk to someone. Well, that's not true at all. Because he or she may be going through something else and probably is going through something else that has absolutely nothing to do with you. So don't take things personally. Once we take things personally, then we invent in our mind all these reasons and things, and we're going down a path that's not even true. So really try to think the whole world doesn't revolve around you, and everybody else is going on their own journey that has nothing to do with you many, many times. So if you don't take it personally, you can go to the right path and go through the day in the right way. And the third is don't make any assumptions. And that goes right with the second. Don't make any assumptions about why you got that response that you got, or why you think X is X and Y is Y. Ask questions. Be involved in the situation rather than making assumptions. It's all about communication. Every problem that I've ever come across in corporate America that I've had, 99% it's about lack of communication. So if you ask questions, if you get clarity, if you understand what's being asked of you, if you take the time to go back and not be afraid to go back and ask those important questions, you'll get to a better outcome faster and in a more positive way. So don't make assumptions. And the last one is always do your best. And that's what I do every day. I wake up, I give it my all. I want to be the very best that I can be, do the very best that you can do for yourself and for others and for your family and for your company. And if you give it the best and you do the best that you can, then nobody can criticize you in any way that will hurt you or affect you, because there's nothing else you can ask for anybody other than to give it your best, okay? And that's my big advice. One thing I do want to say before I end is that I am helping Mark at O2, and we do have some opportunities for some entry-level positions, so check out o2mediainc.com if you're interested in some positions, because we have some great opportunities. Thank you so much.